podcast with Kathy D. Carter, and I'm just going to spring a topic on you.
All right.
Overcoming fear.
Overcoming fear.
We just recorded an episode that hopefully you've heard about bucket lists. And one of the things on people's bucket list, evidently, is overcoming a fear, which I think is great.
Yes, I do too.
And it's not that hard to overcome your fears, in my opinion.
No, it's not mine either. The main thing is you have to have the desire to overcome your fears. And unfortunately, some people don't have that desire.
And one of the things that I do, first of all, as I get older, I have less and less fears.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think that, at least in my experience, the more experience you get, the more you realize you're not going to die. What's the worst that could happen? I mean, those are the two things I always,
right.
When I fear something, I always take it to the worst. Okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? Mm-hmm. And you can say that about anything. If I'm scared of rattlesnakes, that's a legitimate fear.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with being scared of rattlesnakes, because the worst thing that's going to happen is, I guess you could lose your life. Mm-hmm. But if you're scared of roller coasters, mm-hmm. How many people have died on a roller coaster? It just really doesn't happen. So that's kind of number one for me. If I'm afraid of something, I look and say, what's the worst that can happen? And 9 times out of 10, the worst that can happen really isn't that bad.
Right.
And the best that can happen is you just overcame a fear that may have had control of you for your entire life.
Oh, and most times it does. Let's talk about the fear of flying. How many people have the fear of flying to the point where they won't get on an airplane?
Absolutely. Absolutely true.
So what do you give your synopsis?
And once again, what's the worst that's going to happen? And to me, to be honest with you, if I was the type to be afraid of flying, mm-hmm. the worst that's going to happen isn't the plane crashing.
Right.
The worst for me that's going to happen is I have a panic attack or I freak out on the plane.
Right.
And at that point, I think I need to, and I may be wrong about this, the way the mind works, at that point, I need to tackle that fear first.
Right.
And it's a chain reaction of tackling your fears. Well, if you stay in control, you're not going to have the panic attack. If you understand the process, if you're able to look at it with some logic and common sense and able to realize planes don't crash every day. Mm-hmm. At least commercial airliners mm-hmm. don't crash every day. And the chances of the worst happening aren't going to happen. Therefore, I don't ever need to freak out or anything. Now, I will tell you this about flying. Well, this may be a squirrel moment. Mm-hmm. Right now, I have no desire to fly, and it has nothing to do with me being scared of flying. I love, once the plane's in the air, once it takes off, I love it. It's the whole process of going to the airport and checking in and all the hassle that comes with flying. But I understand why people will be afraid of flying, because it's not logical that plane with all that weight can get in the air. But you know what? It's not logical. I don't need to understand how it works. Uh-huh. But I do have a long history of knowing somehow, some way it works.
Uh-huh. So how would you take someone through that to get them over their fear?
I would probably be a real bad person to be with for someone, because I would diminish every one of their fears.
Very quickly, I
yes,
take it.
And probably
give them PTSD.
It wouldn't be good. I don't think I could walk someone through. Now I can encourage them to get through it themselves or find someone who can help them, because you should not be living life afraid. Even the rattlesnake scenario that I just gave you, if that's going to keep me from going to some place I want to go because I hear there's rattlesnakes there. Like if I want to play a golf course, mm-hmm. but the golf course is known that there's some rattlesnakes. Uh-huh. I'm not going to not play the golf course. Heck, put it to you this way. I'm the extreme. I shouldn't use this example. I'm going to, though. I'm the extreme. I understand this. But there's a shooting at a outlet mall here in Allen.
Right.
Where we record. There's about 2,000 people there that day, according to my estimation. 8 people lost their lives in the shooting. If I really needed a pair of Nikes, and the only place they had the Nikes with the Nike outlet at that mall,
right,
and you told me 8 people are going to die at that mall today, I'm likely to take my chances and go to that mall. Because I'm like, okay, what are the odds of me being one of those 8? And I really want those Nikes. I understand I'm the extreme there. Most normal people would not. They'd say, well, that's a mall I'm going to stay away from. But I generally try not to let fear rule my life, and I can pick out when fears do rule my life, and I want to tackle those fears.
Name some of the fears you've tackled.
Public speaking.
Okay. How?
The main way, and you still get nervous and everything, but when you understand that everyone that has ever spoken publicly gets nervous. Everyone who's ever spoken publicly has been afraid of speaking publicly. That's number 1, 2, 3, 1A, 1B, 1C. Number 2 is if I'm speaking publicly, that usually means that I'm the expert on whatever I'm talking about in the room. These people are listening to me because I know more than they do about whatever topic it's not that I'm smarter than them, but the topic that I'm, like if I'm going to go speak to a big group of people about podcasting, there's no one in that room that knows more about podcasting than I do.
Right.
So what am I scared of?
Right.
You know, so, just kind of walking through the entire process, and obviously no one's ever died speaking publicly, or there may be some exceptions to that rule. I don't know.
Probably.
But, the world's been around for a long time, so maybe there's been some people who had heart attacks or something because they're so freaked out by it. But when you really break it down, a lot of things that we're scared of, like public speaking, there's really nothing to be scared of.
Right.
Give me another one.
Give me another one you overcame, a fear.
Spiders.
Did you overcome it?
I don't
Totally.
want to be around them.
Total.
But they're not going to keep me. Once again, when I say overcome, that doesn't mean I'm going to take a tarantula and put it in my hand.
Okay.
But it does mean that if I see a tarantula on a golf course,
okay,
I'm not going to go home.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's when I'm talking about overcoming fears, I'm not talking about in embracing yourself or diving in head first into
Are you going to kill the tarantula?
Probably not.
Okay. Thank you.
Probably
I'm
not.
glad you
But
gave
you know
that
why?
answer.
Because I have a healthy enough fear of it to stay away from it. In order to kill it, I got to get close to it.
But do you not think it has a soul?
I've never been concerned about that.
You haven't.
No, and that's weird too, because other animals, like in this is society. This
A
is
cow, a chicken, do they have a soul?
I'm fine killing cows, killing chickens, but not dogs.
Oh.
And that's a society. I mean, I'm not alone there.
Well, they're domesticated.
Put it to you this way.
So chickens and cows can be too.
I think I could kill a person easier than killing a dog.
Isn't it weird how we humans are made?
Yes.
So why is that?
Why could I kill a person before killing a dog? Because a dog, to me, is innocent. All people, including myself, are guilty.
Guilty till proven innocent.
Yeah, we're all guilty. We've all done bad things. I don't know if a dog has ever purposely done a bad thing. Cats, on the other hand, they're evil. No. But you know what I'm saying? That's just...
Well, that's just your belief. That's where you're at. And the cow and the chicken?
Once again, they were put on earth to...
Feed us.
To nourish. They're doing their job.
So they're doing their job.
That's their job. That's their purpose. Doesn't make it right. When I say that, I know I'm not necessarily right about that, but that's just commonly accepted.
Right. And there are a lot of these things commonly accepted that are needing to be looked at.
Well, how do you feel? You wouldn't eat a dog.
No, probably not.
But you would eat a cow.
Maybe.
Are you vegetarian?
It's getting harder. Really? Again. I've been a vegetarian for years because my daughter said, that's where it came from that animal? No, I am not eating. You mean that animal had to die for me to eat? No. So.
I understand that.
She was 11, somewhere in there, and she was not going to eat it, and I respected her for that. And so I learned all about vegetarian, and I went vegetarian with her. But then I started craving meat. Literally, my physical body craved meat, and I would eat it maybe once a week or whatever. And I told her, I said, because I had heard her mention that she was craving, and I said, I think when our body craves the meat, that it's probably time to eat some. I'm not saying a whole lot, and I'm not going to tell you what kind. You need to decide that for yourself. But I said, I think it means that you do need to eat some.
Well, we do this a lot on this podcast where we start with one thing and then go to another.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you this, because this may just be rationalizing things for me, but I do believe there's an order, natural order of things, and I believe that everything has its purpose.
Yes, I agree.
Some things it's hard to figure out what their purpose really is.
Right.
But like a dog's purpose is to make me happy. A cat's purpose is to make weird people happy. But like a cow and a chicken, their purpose is to feed.
Right.
And to nourish.
Turkey, deer.
Yeah.
Elk.
And now that might be through thousands of years of conditioning that we've come to those commonly accepted theories or beliefs. But it makes it a lot easier for me to steak if I know that cow is just fulfilling its purpose in life.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
In my mind, I mean, in my mind, I can twist it to, man, that's a miracle. That's a great thing. That cow had a purpose and it served its purpose.
And I still don't think they understand the human body. I still don't think they know exactly what it needs. And I think everybody's body is different, more unique than what they think. And I think if we were to all just relax a little bit and learn how to tune into the energetics of our being, we could maintain health much easier on our own.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you.
I think it's all now a matter of maintaining the energies, the energetics, the sound, the frequencies, the frequencies you work in every day. All of this matters.
Well, and I would contend to you that and you know more about this than I do, so tell me if I'm wrong, but there are people in the medical profession that are starting to lean that way and want and do everything possible to keep you off of the medications and to try and do things naturally.
Yes.
Because every medication has a side effect. Evidently, I'm going to get political with you. Evidently, the only thing that didn't have a side effect was the COVID vaccination.
Of course.
But everything else has a side effect. Look, we survived thousands of years before pharmaceuticals were ever around. Now, we may not have survived as long, but that's another thing, Kathy, is I do think that maybe humans are living too long. And
they've decided to take us out.
Yeah, well, letting nature take it. There's something about letting nature take its course.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to, I'm not ageist,
mm-hmm.
but I can tell you what, my focus group of one, I don't want to live past I don't want to outlive my ability to live.
Okay.
Whoa, that was good.
It was.
Think about that. Think how deep that was. I don't want to outlive my ability to live.
Mm-hmm. Outlive my ability to live. Meaning, you want to be physically active.
Mentally and physically. I don't want to just ride it out. Like a lot of people end up having to do.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's just really sad when people have to just ride out their last days, their last years.
Yeah.
And some people have to ride out their last decades.
Well, but in my opinion, that's because they have that belief. There, again, we go back to the energetics of the person. Our belief systems are unconscious. They're energetic. And if we don't examine them and we don't pull them up and we don't look at them and change them, then we are doomed to relive the past because that's what we're programmed with.
I agree with you. Believe it or not.
Good.
We are programmed with that.
And that's why people have to break a hip, suffer for years before they die and be waited on. And there's also this I'm getting this theme from these young kids again, where they are, I'm sorry, but the word has so many connotations, but these kids are slaves to their parents. These kids have been born and raised and molded into what their parents want them to be, and they are responsible for taking care of their parents until their death, providing them with money.
Well, who else should be responsible?
The adults should be responsible for themselves.
Okay, I agree with that, but I can also come up with a system that says
we take care of each other.
Well, that sounds too sensitive for me.
Oh.
But it says the first 20 years of your life, your parents took care of you financially. So maybe for the last 20 years of their life, you can pay them back.
You know what these kids say? I didn't ask them to bring me here.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I shouldn't have to pay them anything. They're very adamant about that.
But, once again, that's outliving my ability to live. There's some financial in there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because people just don't realize how long they're going. Hey, I'm going to tell you what, financially, I'll be okay because I'll be able to do this for forever.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people financially that if they live past a certain age, they're screwed financially. And
well, unless they come up with a new income. There's lots of old ways of making income we're seeing fade away. Lots of new ways of making income are coming in, and you better be in that wave, taking on the new and letting go of the old.
Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that's another episode that I want to do.
All right. Because it's imperative that people move with the times.
So we started talking about overcoming fears. Let's try and end
On overcoming
on
fears?
overcoming fears.
Well, fears are in the first chakra. I'm taking a class myself on Mastering You. And as she teaches it, it is a class on Mastering You. And her philosophy is everything is connected to the first chakra. And until we heal that first chakra, we're not going to heal anything else. So first chakra is main focus point. Her name is Lori Morrison, and she is a medical intuitive. And I can say that to date, she is the best medical person I have been to that treats the whole entire body and helps correct what's wrong. Her website is Lori Morrison, LORIMORRISON.com.
All right, I'll put that in the show notes.
But yes, fear is first chakra, and it is definitely fears need to be overcome before we can heal.